Hello, welcome guys. Good morning, Omolara. Please kindly confirm you can hear me.
Yeah, good morning. I can hear you.
Okay, all right. Glad to have you here, Dayo.
Yeah, nice to have you as well.
All right, you're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, so Lara said she's still backstage. I'm trying to bring in my assistant here. I don't know why she. So, Omolara, your mic is actually muted. Okay, I've added you to the stage now, right? I've added you to the stage. I think you should be good to go.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me now?
Positive, I can hear you.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, let's just wait some minutes. I can see Subai Waliulahi. I hope I pronounced the name correctly. I hope I pronounced the name correctly. Subai, can you hear me? Subai, can you hear me? Yeah, good morning. How are you doing? You're welcome. Okay, Milton, you're welcome. Good morning, sir. How are you doing, Milton? All right, thank you very much, Subai.
Well, I'm good. Please confirm that my audio is good.
Yes, positive. Your audio is good. Your audio is very good.
All right,
Your
thank you.
audio is very good. Okay, Aliyah, good morning. Good morning to you. All right, let's just wait for a few minutes. If we have about some more students join us, then we'll begin officially. Aliyah, what about Abubakar? Is he available? Okay, so Abubakar is also here as well. All right, I think we'll just wait 3 more minutes. Once it's 10 minutes past 10, we'll get started officially. Let's just get more people. So I think that I think you're the only one who is submitting a slide or who is using a slide. The rest are speaking from their head. Quite interesting.
Oh, okay. I mean, that means we have professional presenters. I mean, they are speaking.
Apparently, apparently, right? So Mr. Daya will start with us. Then where is Mr. Joshua? Mr. Joshua is not here now. Um, okay, let me just see if I can get in touch with him. He's our second speaker before Mr. Milton comes on board. Good morning, the light. Good morning. All right, it's 10 minutes past 10. I think we can start now. We are 10 minutes into the webinar already. I think a few more people have joined us. Others will join in as we progress. All right, so good morning once again, everyone. You're welcome to the first of two webinar series. This is Swordbridge Academy, and as you all know, we are a training institute. The academic arm of Swordbridge, which is the parent company, and we train our audience who are basically beginners and people who are looking to transition into tech, into IT. Some of them are fresh graduates. Most of our audiences are basically youth, and some as well are teenagers, you know. And we have a few adults um, among our learners. The majority of them are people who are looking to transition into tech. A few of them have some tech experience, and they are looking to upskill. We offer trainings in software development, basically front end and back end. We also offer trainings in data analytics and product design. So we train the students on how to build modern and relevant products or projects, you know, using relevant skills in 2025 as of now. And currently we are holding our second course, which will end in a couple of months' time. I think by early November we should be ending the course 2 officially. Also, this course we just have 3 tracks, which are the product design. We also have the full stack development, and the data analytics. In the next cohort, we'll be having more tracks. We'll be having front end as a specialization. So there'll be a front end track. There's going to be a full stack track as well. So for those who want to do front end, we'll do front end. Those who want to do full stack, we'll do full stack. We're also going to have data analytics, and we'll be introducing graphics as a course as well, graphics as a course, and also data science and artificial intelligence. All right. So, like I said again, this is the first of 2 webinar series, and as you guys would know, we are focused on tech and design. This webinar series is focused on tech and design. Essentially, we'll be, getting to learn from our speakers here, who are, working professionals. They are in the industry already, and we'll be working to learn from them. They'll be giving us insight from their own experience. They'll be giving us challenges. They'll be giving us things that we could use, to upskill ourselves and to get better, even as junior developers, junior analysts, junior designers. I'm saying junior because, of course, you're basically intern level. And we'll be having 3 speakers. Hopefully, the 3rd speaker is not here, but I will just introduce them, and we'll get started with the first speaker. So we have here Mr. Dayo Agbolade. Mr. Dayo is a software engineer at InterSwitch, and if I'm not mistaken, his specialty is on front end, but is well versed also full stack. But the specialty is front end, so he will be helping us with front end discussions, of course, software development in general, but probably more focused on front end. We also have here Milton. For Milton is a CTO, that's Chief Technical Officer of Comfort Energy. Comfort Energy, they are a company that focuses on using clean gas, clean energy. I'm sure you probably hear more from him when he speaks. So Milton, Comfort Energy is one of our partners, and we are proud and privileged to have them on board. Especially those of you who are in the software engineering, that's the full stack development tracks, will be looking to bring in some of you, to the company to also work as interns. The 3rd speaker who is not available now is Joshua Olukoya. Mr. Joshua Olukoya is a software engineer as well, but he's more focused in AI and machine learning, but in software engineering. We hope he joins us. Mr. Joshua Olukoya is from Kona Labs in Morgan State University, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's the UK or the United States of America, either way, and I think it's the UK, right? But when it comes on board, we would bring him on board, and that's that about that. So I'll leave the floor. Okay, I also have here Miss Omolara, who is our programs manager. Lest I forget, she's also our programs manager, so she will be assisting me. She'll be supporting me in anchoring this webinar series. Please, let's listen well. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them on the chats. Just so you know, it might take a while for your chats to come on board for us to see your chat, but we will see them. So if you have any questions as the speakers are talking, feel free to drop them. If you want to ask a particular question to any speaker in particular, just drop the name, and ask your question. We will see them and we'll get back to you. So yeah, the screen is blank because I'm not showing anything now. So just give me a minute. Let me share my screen. So because the first speaker is he has some slides which I will be sharing. So please let me know if you can see my screen. Let me know if you can see my screen. Please let me know. Can you see my screen now?
We can't see your screen yet.
Okay, so I need to just do it. Okay, so while I am doing that, I'll just leave the floor to Mr. Dayo. Right, so Mr. Dayo Agbolade, you have the floor. You can introduce yourself while I sort out the screen sharing. Over to you, sir.
All right. Thanks a lot, Damilare. I also want to say thank you, everyone, at least for making it here, and also thanks to Damilare for giving me the opportunity. This is actually something I've been really looking forward to, at least having to talk to those who are passionate about tech, those who are just looking to join tech. Maybe they are just finishing from school, or they've been into one career and they're looking to switch to a different career. Speaking with respect to tech now. So just to give a little bit of intro about myself, you can call me Dayo. Software developer, have about 8 years experience. Worked for quite a number of different categories of companies, mid-sized companies, startups, as well as large-scale companies. Within my 8 years experience, I would say I've spent about 4 years within the banking and finance sector. And also, okay, just a little bit of personal information. Recently married, just I would say 2 months, and it's been great. Happy
Let's
to,
send an emoji to Mr. Dayo, who just married recently. Let's drop an emoji for him. Guys, let's show him some love. Let's show him some love. Let's
thank
show him some love. 2 months, 2 months old. Nice one.
yeah,
Congratulations, bro.
yeah, thank you very much. Thank you so much. So, yeah, I don't know if the slides are ready, um, because although I can see an option to share screen from my end. I don't know if I should use that option.
Okay, if you can share it from your end, I think that's also fine, right? That's also fine.
All right, all
So
right.
just save me the stress of doing that here.
Okay. Let me see.
Oh, they are sending you love emojis.
Oh, thank you. Please let me know when my screen is visible.
Yes, yes.
All right, great, great. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about building user-centric software applications, right? Of course, as Damilare mentioned, I'm majorly focused on front-end development. But one specific reason why I like this topic, especially while I was trying to research into the topic, preparing towards this presentation, I really love this topic because it applies to not just front-end alone, software development in general, and even outside of software development. This is a topic that applies to, I mean, even business, right? Even other areas of life, right? So it's quite an interesting topic, and so to get straight into it, um, let me move on to the next slide. So when we talk about user-centric software applications, right? User-centric, as the word implies, right? We're talking majorly of user-focused, right? User-focused software applications. One I would say general mistake I see a lot, even for experienced developers, is that whenever they try to build software applications or software products, please, in the course of this presentation, I might use products and software products interchangeably, right? Just so that I'm talking about the same thing, right? A software product, I mean, pretty much any software that people use. I mean, could be your mobile app. It could be this streaming service that we're using. It's also a software product. So far, we have multiple people using it. It's a software product, right? So one common mistake I see, even with experienced developers, software developers, is that anytime they build software product, they treat they treat users, the user needs, is kind of treated as something that is secondary, right? They seem to focus more on the technology, right? Which isn't bad. I mean, focus on the technology is not a bad thing. They seem to be more focused on, oh, okay, am I going to use React? Am I going to use Python? Am I going to use AI for this app? And they seem to somewhat ignore what exactly does the user need, right? Because that that question of what does the user want, what does the user need, that question should come first, right, before the choice of technology. So that's what this topic is majorly about, right? Building software products, right, while keeping the user's needs, in mind first, right? So what's a product design? So before we answer the question of what a product design is, we need to know what a product is, and I think I explained that, right? A product, in this context, I'm talking about software products, right? A product is pretty much any software that most people are using, right? Everybody here has used a software product at a point in time, right? And thank God the way the tech world is such that even the uneducated, right, have also at a point in time used a software product, right? I mean, these days, I mean, I see. Recently, I think I wanted to buy suya recently, and I asked the aboki, does he take transfer? And I mean, I was able to pay for my suya, via bank transfer. I mean, the bank transfer app, I mean, that's a software product, right? So any app that most people are using, right, is a software product. So back to product design, right? So what's product design? Product design is a process of imagining, right? So it's a process that starts with in your mind, right? It requires to a degree your creativity, right? So take for instance, I want to build let's say an e-commerce website, right? The first question is not what should be the color of my e-commerce website. Should I use React? Should I use Angular? The first question should be how do I build this website such that it's easy and convenient for my users? That should be the first question. And this is kind of a step that most developers skip, right? We skip this step of prioritizing the user needs, and then we jump straight into the technology parts, right? Focusing on technology is not bad, like I said, but the user should come first, right? So product design is, I mean, imagining, creating, and refining a product to solve real problems, right? So in this case, you are focusing on, the functionality of the product with respect to the user's needs, how usable it is, and how appealing it is, right? With respect to the user's needs. So the user must always come first, right? So the first step of building the software product is to design the product, right? In terms of designing the product, you have to ask, a lot of vital questions, right? Okay, how easy is it? Okay, let me use the example of an e-commerce website, right? At the point of having to pick the items you want to buy, to the point of actually paying for those items, how easy is it from point to point, right? Do I have to go through 100 processes just to buy a single item? I mean, that will be frustrating, right? So product design, right, helps you to map out. It's almost like a blueprint to a building, right? Before you build a building, right, you have to come up with a blueprint or a plan, right? That's pretty much what product design is about. So if you are looking at building user-centric software products, right, you have to put product design in mind as well, right? Building a software product without first, going through the product design phase, right, is almost like walking in the dark, right? It's like, take for instance, you want to cross the express and then you decide to blindfold your eyes, right? I mean, you decide to just blindfold your eyes and then cross to the express. I've crossed on Lagos. I've crossed along Lagos Ibadan Expressway on foot before, and I can tell you, it can be very scary, right? Now you want to compare that to having to cross blindfolded, right? It's like a hit and miss situation. There's a chance you could cross to the other side successfully. There's a chance you could get hit, right? So building software products without a product design is like venturing, it's like gambling, it's like venturing into a hit and miss situation, right? You could end up building a product that nobody wants. Why? Because there was no proper thinking or design put into it before you started building, right? So it's a hit and miss situation. Like I said, you could build it, you could build a product, without planning. You could get it right, right? A gamble, you could get it right, or you could fail. But most times, it's pretty much venturing into the direction of failure if you are building without product design. Okay. So next, I'm going to talk about a couple of things that we could do to make our software products, right, more user centric, right, more intuitive, simple for the users, right. And one good example I like to use is WhatsApp, right. WhatsApp is a now looking at WhatsApp is not an app that is, I would say, is aesthetically pleasing, right. It's not, the interface is not something that one will look at and say, oh wow, it's blowing my mind, right. It's a very simple interface, right. So simple, so easy to use. I mean, we have people from different categories of life using WhatsApp. I mean, I know someone who, even people who are not so tech savvy, they use WhatsApp. Why? Because WhatsApp, the interface is so simple and really, really intuitive, right? I know someone that just has like a primary school, primary five. That's the highest education level that this person has, and this person is able to use WhatsApp, right? I mean, so well, right? Why? And why is that? Because WhatsApp have been intentional about keeping their interface easy to use and simple. And why? And why are they able to achieve this? They're able to achieve this by keeping the users, first in mind, right? And in terms of building user-centric products, one thing I'm going to mention is color contrast, right? Your choice of colors now, right? Now, when you are picking colors, you have to put the user in mind, right? You have to pick, colors, colors could be background colors, text colors. You have to pick colors that, um, is going to be easy to read, right? Don't build a front-end website and then all, the fonts are tiny, right? You have to, consider the people who will be reading the contents of your website, right? What if you are, what if someone who is short-sighted, someone who is visually impaired is trying to read your website, right? I mean, and the fonts are tiny. That's going to be frustrating for that person, right? Give me a minute. I'm going to share some samples. I mentioned color contrast, right? Because, for instance, now you can't have, okay, I don't know if you guys can see this. I hope my screen is
Yes, we
visible
can.
here.
We can.
Yes, great. Yeah, so this is an example of color contrast, right? Look at this, right? We have I mean, this is a gray background, right? With a little bit of a darker gray text, right? Now, this can be very, very difficult to read, right? This is an example of bad color contrast, right? So while building a software product, it could be a website, it could be a mobile app, you have to put these kind of things in mind, right? Look at this other example. You have this yellow background with a green text, right? Now this this text color with the yellow background, it makes the entire thing look noisy, right? It looks like the text is screaming in my face, right? So these are bad examples of color contrast. I remember I was in a place, in a public place recently, and they wanted to like present project an account number, right? And the projection, the account number that they projected was looking somewhat like this one at the bottom here, this bad contrast, right? And I mean, I remember I had to squint my eyes just to see what was written on the account, what the account details were. I was trying to squint my eyes, and at the end of the day, they just had to, call out the account number using the microphone because nobody could see it, right? So, things like that can be avoided if you put your users in mind. Think about it. This color, this thing I just did. How easy is it going to be for my users to read it? Right? Is it easy for them to read it? For someone who is a little bit on the elderly side, right? someone with poor eyesight, how easy would it be for them to read it? Right. Look at this example here. We have an example of good contrast, right? We have a black background with white text, right? So you can see this text is looking a lot sharper, right? Easy to read, even at a distance, right? If you are projecting this thing at a distance, you can still see it, at a good distance. Let me give one other example. Yeah, this is another example, right? This is another example of bad color contrast. So the background image, you have to be conscious of the background image as well as the text color, your choice of text color. Most times I advise people, stick to, of course, this is also subjective, depending on preference and all that. But most times I advise people stick to a white background, right? Because one thing about a white background is that the white background can go with many options, many many text color options, right? You can have a white background with black text, right? You can have a white background with let's say a dark green text. So you have a lot of variety of options if you stick with a white background. So these are just things to put in mind when you are building user-centric products for your users, right? It's about thinking about the users first. Okay. All right. So next is how do I think in a user-centric manner, right? How do I think in a user-centric manner? So, the first step to think in a user-centric manner, like I said before, user-centric means user first, right? You are focused on the user. Whenever you're building your software products, right, you are putting the needs of the users first. How convenient will it be for my users to use my products, right? You're putting that first over, what technology will I use? Do I need to sprinkle AI into this software that I'm building? Like I said, those things are not bad, but the user should always come first. Like one of my lecturers would say back in school, you are not building your software products for monkeys, right? You are building them for human beings, right? You are building them for human beings with feelings, with emotions, right? So one way to think in a user-focused manner is to put in empathy, right? Empathy is pretty much, having to put yourself in the shoes of your users, right? While building the product, put yourself in the shoes of users. Okay, how would it makes you, it makes you to be able to relate with how your users would be using your product, right? Let's say you design, let's say you put the pay. Let's look at an e-commerce website, for example, right? The payment button, you put the payment button at the bottom, right? That's not, I won't say that's very user-centric. The payment button should be somewhere that is very obvious, right? Why? Because users want to make purchases and they want to do it, they want to do it conveniently, they want to do it easily, right? They want to do it without any hassle. So when you put your pay button at the bottom of your website, right, it makes it it creates a lot of friction when it comes to your users navigating. They might start checking all over the place. Oh, where's the pay button? I can't pay for my items. I picked 2 items. I can't pay for it. I can't find the pay button. And at the end of the day, they have to start maybe reaching out to the customer care of the website, or sometimes they might just go to another website, really. And that means you've lost a user, you've lost a customer, right? So having to put yourself in the position of your users is something that is very, very important. So another thing I'll talk about is also asking why, right? Ask why repeatedly. Why do we need this particular feature, right? Is this feature needed? Do we need to add this feature, or do we just need to keep things simple, right? It's a critical question to ask while building software products. Take for instance, you build, let's say a WhatsApp, something that looks like WhatsApp, right? Maybe you call it XYZ Messenger, right? And then you decide to put a feature that allows people pay for, maybe allows people pay for items using crypto, right? Now you see, if you are adding that kind of feature to a messenger app, something that looks like WhatsApp, you are going to exclude a lot of people, because not many people are tech savvy, enough to be able to utilize a crypto payment option, right? So it's good to keep things simple, right? I think I've talked about focusing on simplicity, using the crypto payment app. Also validate with real users, right? When you build a software product, let's say you've been able to come up with a version 1 of your software product. Try to, I mean, we have families, we have friends. You can tell them, oh, look at what I built. Can you take a look at what I built, and try and get their feedback, right? I mean, that's one way to build user-centric products, right? Getting the feedback of users, those who will be using your product. If you notice, some of these apps, they usually, from time to time, especially some of these mobile apps, there are times when they might ask you to, review the application, right? I'm sure, I mean, all of us would have experienced that at a point in time, right? There's usually, certain points where they will ask you, rate us, right? Now, usually what, at least, let me say sensible ones, usually what they do is that, they look at all these ratings, all these reviews, right? They look at, because the reviews tells you of your users' pain points. So they look at all these reviews and they take the reviews, right? Whether negative or positive, they take the reviews and then they start to work on those reviews to improve their app, right? So that's the whole idea behind review system. So that's it for validating real users. Design for inclusivity. I talked about this. Inclusivity involves, okay, when you're building, also consider people who are not so tech savvy, right? Don't make your software product to be too complicated, right? Also, consider people who might be visually impaired, right? Make sure that the fonts are legible, they are bold enough, of course, not too big, but make sure, it's something that someone with poor eyesight, should still be able to, navigate around. And lastly, iterate based on user feedback. I think I mentioned this already as well. Um, you know, from time to time, of course, when people start using the app, of course, some people might find it, easy to use. Some might have their own different opinions. They might find it difficult. Take their feedback. Don't take feedback as something. Don't take it personal, especially when the feedback is negative, right? More or less see it as an opportunity to improve. So take the feedback. If people are telling you, "Oh, my website is too slow," I mean, a website being too slow is actually a negative experience for many people, right? There are certain times when I try to pay using a certain bank and their service is too slow. What do? I just go to another bank, right? I use another bank app, right? So take all those kind of those feedbacks, take it, work on it, and then use it to improve your software products. Okay. Before we proceed, let me share my screen. I have a quiz here. I hope this is visible enough. Yeah. So I think you guys can drop in the chat. Can anyone tell me what is wrong with this? Now I cropped this. I got this from a section of a particular website, right? So can anyone tell me what could be improved? So you can just type it in the chat. I have access to chat. What do you think could be improved from this interface that we have here? So this is just a section of the website. This is around the footer section. If you scroll to the bottom, I don't want to put out the website name, but it's quite a popular website.
What was your question again, Dayo?
Okay, I was asking like what's wrong with this. I cropped this screenshot.
Okay.
Yeah, for a popular website, right?
Okay. So what is wrong with it?
Yeah, like how can it be improved? I mean, from a user-centric perspective.
Okay.
Yeah.
Someone is saying something on the chat.
Okay. Okay, someone is saying color contrast. Any other any other suggestions on what could be improved? Okay, someone is saying bold fonts. Okay, yeah, yeah. Okay, so I mean those are very very valid. Definitely, you're both right. Yeah, you're both right. Abubakar, I hope I pronounced that right. John, Regina, yes, you're right. You're definitely right. So, I mean, if you look at these sections, right, you have the heading and you have the body, right? The heading could be bolder, really, right? It could be bolder. The body here as well could be bolder, right? They're using a white background on top of, and then there's a dark text, right? This text could actually be bolder, right? Rather than using a light gray text, they could have used at least a darker shade of text, right? Of course, the icons as well, could be darker as well. Yeah. Having so when we're talking about building user-centric products, right? It's more or less a mindset shift, right? It's more or less a way of thinking, right? Always trying to think from a user's perspective, right? Because something like this now, I want to imagine I was going to give my grandmom to read, right? She would, I mean, if I give her, to read, she would probably ask, well, where's my glasses? Or she might have to start zooming in, zooming in to read the content, right? So, yeah, you guys are right. Okay. Okay, so,
I think so. Responses are still coming in.
oh, okay. Yeah, Delightful mentioned that the appearance is very poor. It's supposed to be very bold. Yeah, true. Very true. Okay, thanks, you guys. At least shows that you guys are actually following. Thanks everyone for the contribution. Okay, so moving on. I'm looking at wrapping up in like let's say 10 minutes for the other speakers. Okay, so moving on, I'll just talk about the consequences, right? So what are those? So if you build a software product, right, without putting user needs first, what are some things that are bound to happen, right? Number one is high drop-off rates, right? I mean, imagine, okay, let me talk about an experience I had, right? Like I mentioned, building user-centric product does not apply to software products alone, right? Even other, it could apply to businesses, other areas, right? Something that happened to me recently. Initially, there was a time when I think early this year, I installed a fiber connection in my house, right? And I mean, I'm not going to mention the company's name. I don't want to spoil their market, right? So I installed a fiber connection in my house. I mean, they had unlimited data plan. They're not really popular, right? They had unlimited data plan, and their price was quite cheap per month, right? Their price was I think about 25,000 naira per month, which was even less than what I was paying for my monthly MTN subscription, right? Long story short, the fiber connection at the end of the day ended up being a regret because it was so slow. It was so slow. I mean, I had reported to their customer service multiple times. At a point in time, I started pitying them because it felt like I was disturbing them, right? At the end of the day, I just felt, you know what? MTN, they don't have an unlimited plan. They are more expensive. But at this point, I think I would rather just go for MTN, even if, please, I'm not in any way promoting MTN. MTN is not sponsoring me in any way. This is just my personal experience, right? So at the end of the day, I just had to opt in, for MTN, even if they were more expensive, but at least they were a lot more stable compared to the fiber connection that I installed, compared to the that company's product, right? So if people are frustrated with your software products, they are going to leave it, right? They will leave it and go to another competitor, right? If your website is too slow, right? Let's say you have a social media website and it's taking too long for people to see their profile page. It's taking too long for people to see their images, right? People will get frustrated and they're going to drop your website and move on to someone else's website, right? So in that kind of situation, you're going to be losing users. You're going to be losing money as well, right? So there's a drop off. So there's going to be a high drop off rate, right? Increased support costs, right? If people keep on having technical issues with your software product, they're going to be bombarding your customer service, right? So they're going to be, I mean, your customer service line will be on, on the hot, to be on red. People will be constantly bombarding the customer service line, trying to ask for one help or the other, right? And it might mean that you need to maybe spend more money trying to resolve some of these technical issues, or you need to spend more money to hire maybe more customer support representatives. I mean, all these are things that can be avoided if you build your product from a user-centric perspective. There's also the issue of poor accessibility. I remember some time back when I was going to register for my NYC, the website was so slow. I mean, so slow. I think I remember people having to say that they had to wait till around midnight before they could use the website, because there were multiple people using the website all at once, and it was slowing down the website, right? And there are also instances now, if you notice, there are a lot of popular websites where for the sake of accessibility, some of these websites, they allow you to translate their websites to other languages, right? I think Apple, for instance, now Apple can, I think they have a version of their website, in French, right? They have a version of their website in the Russian language. So this thing just helps you to, um, reach a wider audience, right? So your website does not just help English speakers alone, right? People who speak other languages, right? Also includes all of them as well. User frustration and brand switching. Yeah, I talked about this. If people are not happy using your software product, they will switch to a competitor. Of course, lost revenue. I gave an example of that as well. I mean, if they are moving to your competitor, you're losing users and you're losing money. Let's say your website is built in such a way that there is a monthly subscription, right? People have to pay monthly to use your website. If people are not finding your website easy to use, they're not finding it enjoyable, they will move to a competitor, and in that sense, you're also going to be losing money. Wasted development time as well. These are one of the things that can happen if you don't build from a user-centric standpoint. You are going to be in a what I'll call a hit and miss situation, right? You are building a website. You are building without first finding out the needs of the users. You could build the website for, let's say, 6 months. After you spent a lot of time, energy, sleepless nights, right? And then after building at the end of 6 months, you realize that nobody wants to use your product because it doesn't solve their problem. Right now, all that would have been avoided if in the very beginning you try to understand the user, you try to understand their problems, right? Okay. So moving on, I also want to I'll talk about why product design matters within teams. I believe that everyone here is have a software development background. At least we ventured into software development to a degree, right? And I'll say this, right? For those who are just starting, many times they're going to be working, within teams, right? You're not going to be working as a standalone developer. You're most likely be working with people, right? And it's very, very important that there is a product design. Is someone trying to speak?
Yeah, hello. Daniel, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Okay, so I would like to probably break you at this point.
Okay.
there's a very strong possibility you will still speak after the second speaker. A very strong possibility you still speak after the second speaker. He just reached out to me, and I think he needs to attend to some things. That's Mr. Milton. So
Okay.
yeah, but please just take note of this. Thank you very much for this. This is very, very insightful. So we have a mixture of software engineering students, software development students, data analytics students, and I think some product designers also, and some people who are not even part of our students. They've joined in, so they are mixed backgrounds essentially, right? So I think you also consider that. Then I learned something. One of the things you mentioned before we invite Mr. Milton. You're talking about product design, and you said it's more of the user's mindset, right? You considering you as a designer, as a developer, looking at what the user needs, what the user requirements. So it's more of okay, you are building for it for the users, and you need to consider what the users need, what are their main requirements, right? So before Mr. Milton comes on board, just a quick question: how do you think, or what is the best way? How would you advise someone who is coming up, as a designer, as a front-end developer, to get the accurate user requirements? Or is there something like an accurate user requirement? Because you talked about that, right? So as a designer, as a developer, I'm trying to work for a client. How do I get the accurate user requirement? Or is there anything like that in the first place? And if yes, how can I get it to ensure that, okay, this user requirement is spot on, and there is no issues, there's no issues whatsoever. So after this question, then we'll bring Mr. Milton in. I hope you got the question, Dayo.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I did. Okay. So to answer your question, right? Part of my presentation was I was going to talk about the different stages of product design, right? And
Okay.
usually the first stage usually is the research stage, the user research stage, right? So, or some people call it the requirements gathering stage. So usually at that stage, that's where you ask, questions to your users, right? Sometimes people do this in form of questionnaires, right? People might send out questionnaires and ask a couple of questions. Take for instance, I was going to build a particular, or let me see, some people approached me, they wanted to build a website for specifically for lawyers, right? So one of the things they did is that they had sent out questionnaires, right, to about 1,000 lawyers, right? So
Like
the
1,000. 1,000. Did you say
yes,
1,000? Oh,
yes,
okay.
1,000
Okay.
lawyers. I mean, they have a database of contacts from lawyers and all that. So they had sent out questionnaires, and they asked key points, specific questions. Okay, do you usually face this problem in your day to day transactions with clients? They said yes. Do you have problem? Do you have the issue of maybe documenting cases with clients? They asked a couple of these questions, and they kept on saying, oh, we have this problem, and there was even a point that really caught my attention. If there was an app that could solve this problem, how much would you be willing to pay for it? I mean, in terms of money, how much would you pay? So when you ask some of these questions, it helps you to pinpoint people's needs, and then from the needs you then know the requirements for the software product. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. 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 That's very, very interesting. Um, Thank you very much. But it's actually interesting. I guess we'll still have a question and answer session after the next speaker and after your own final session when you come back and wrap up. It's quite interesting, we are the one that's going to ask questions now, right? So we need to know the kind of questions to ask. That's another thing again, right? Because I might not know the right questions to ask because I might not be in your field, right? But so as a designer, that means what it tells me is that I need to know the kind of questions to ask as a developer, as a designer. I need to know the kind of questions to ask so that I will know what pain points and what needs you have, then I can now build a solution to meet that need. That's very very interesting. That's very interesting. So guys, Mr. Dayo would still come back, after the next speaker. If you have any question for him before that, you can just drop it on the chat, especially the full stack students. And even if you're not a full stack students, if you hello, can you hear me? Hello, can you guys hear me now? It seems my network is lagging. Okay, you can hear me. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Lara, can you hear me? Okay, I think I can see from the responses from the chat, you guys can hear me. But Lara, I can't hear you. Your mic seems to be muted. Dayo, please confirm you can hear me clearly. Muting, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, can.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much, Milton. Okay, so like I was saying, it's important we know to ask the right questions as designers, as developers, right? Based from the response Mr. Dayo gave. So just like you said, those people they reached out to 1,000 lawyers and they were giving them questions, to get their pain points. So I think that's something you guys can take home. If you're going to build a product, you need to know what is the need of your audience, right? What need do they have? What pain point do they have? And that way, you can build a website or a tech solution or an app or whatever you want to build, that meets that particular need. So pending time, Mr. Um, Dayo will come back again. Muting just dropped off. I guess he's having an issue with his network. We're still trying to get in touch with Mr. Joshua. Mr. Joshua is not available at the moment. Let me see if I can get in touch with Mr. Milton. Your mic is still muted. I think you need to unmute your mic. Okay. If you have any questions for Mr. Dayo, anytime Mr. Milton comes, you can just drop your question.
Mr. Dams, can you hear me now? I'm muted.
Okay, you've unmuted yourself. Oh, thank you. So, Lara, let me hear from you. What can you say about what Mr. Dayo said? What Dayo said, as regards product design, understanding user preferences, and his own personal experiences with some brands, though he didn't mention their names, with certain post services. What can you say?
It's easier. But can everyone hear me? And then, Dams, am I up or I should hold on a
Okay,
bit?
Milton, you're back. Yes, Milton, you're back. Thank you very much. So Lara is not available at the moment. I think she's still unmuted. But Milton, you're back. Okay, so guys, we have Milton Arubofa here. He is the CTO of Comfort Energy. I'm sure we would also give more information about that, and he'll be handling the next session. So let's just show Mr. Milton some love as we welcome him. Milton, you have the floor.
All right, thank you very much, Dams. Good morning, everyone. My name is Milton, and I am co-founder and CTO at Comfort Energy. I'm a second-time founder. Uh, all right. So, briefly, of course, I wouldn't be taking you guys to products like Dio did, right? But I will be, just talking to us generally on what is obtainable in the tech ecosystem, or in the tech world, as well as it. Uh, so basically, one of the one of the things I'll first talk about is the troubles that you will have building products. I told my engineers that you guys are not just developers to interpret designs. You guys are actually product engineers, in that you are engineering a product, you are bringing a product to life. So, but quickly, one of the things that I will just quickly address is imposter syndrome, and this I have my fair share of it. So, I remember when I was learning software, and one of the things that was very challenging was when I was done learning, I started asking myself questions. Is this the same thing that the guys at Silicon Valley are doing? This thing I'm doing like this. I couldn't really make, even though, I check GitHub, I see that the codes are still similar. But, you can't take it away when you start feeling, am I who I actually say that I am? In that, can I do all these things that I actually put on maybe on LinkedIn? Because maybe when you are done with your program now, of course, one of the key things to do is to update your LinkedIn, and then you start updating your LinkedIn and start wondering, can I actually do all these things that I say I can do? You see, I remember there was a time when I was talking to a group of engineers who were graduating from a boot camp, and one of their concerns is, they're like, I've only learned React. And is this React the real? Is this what I? They thought there's still something more to learn. And the ones who learn JavaScript, like, is this all there is to it? Like the functions, the variables. Is this all there is to it? Is this all there is to it? But I put it to you that even the ones that you look up to as experts, they have their fair share of it. There will always be a time where you feel you you are not who you think you are, but you are. All you need to learn, you have learned. All the basics that you need to have, you have. So what you need to now do is to begin to build on it. That's where experience comes in. That's where internship comes in. You begin to build on it. You begin to build on those things. So, because the truth is, no one actually knows everything. And one of the things I also tell you is, don't be shy, or don't be timid to say, I don't know, but I'll find out, because nobody knows everything. I remember there was a time I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who works with Meta at the time. She works with Meta, and I was asking her some questions, because she saw what I was doing and she felt it was interesting. Like, stuff is interesting. And, I just was engaging her, like, okay, so what about this stuff? Do you do this stuff? And she's like, no, I don't know. I don't know it. I don't know this thing. And this, I believe, was basic, more like what everybody in tech should know. but she wasn't. One thing you can take from that is she wasn't timid. She wasn't intimidated to say, "I don't know it, but I will find out about it nonetheless. I'll find out about it." Don't be intimidated, because no one knows everything. You get, and then also when it comes to, managing pressure, deadlines, and timelines, is something that you really need to get used to as you are stepping into it. Because what you are doing is, and like I always tell people that work with me, that what we are doing is we are doing something that is hard, because we are bringing to life what does not exist. So it's something very hard. You are doing a hard work. You know, you are doing a hard work. So there will be pressure. There will be times that you'll be giving timeline and you're wondering who is going to deliver on this thing. But it's still you that's going to deliver on it. It's still you that's going to deliver. You put in all the effort, you see that all those things, you have it, all the things you've learned, you just need to put it to work and put it to practice. Please, I need to also confirm if I can still be heard. Are we following?
Yes, please.
We
Can
can
hear
hear
you
you,
loud.
sir.
All right. All right, I'll proceed. So, then there's something that we actually also do. Most of the times when you are approaching a certain product or project, you want to quickly work on it, and I always tell my engineers that sometimes fast is slow and slow is fast. And the paradox is that when you carefully think of a product, you are taking time to think through it. That your time that you're putting into it will look as though you are wasting time, or that you are taking time, or this is slow, you have not delivered. But by the time you are done carefully thinking through it, you just move into action and then you deliver. While some persons eventually will just immediately go and they just write the codes and build the stuff, and then they are done building, and then now there's a bug. And now that bug, now they now have to put time and effort to fix it, and then they are inside this roller coaster of fixing bugs and coming back for review and fixing it, instead of outrightly sitting down to carefully think of it. Of course, there are times that you need to build fast like that. You just have to be sensitive to understand what kind of product am I building and what approach you are going to take. And that leads me to the next thing, which is, some engineers or some designers, they just want to hear from the management team, and they go and do what the management team has told them to do. While some, when they hear from the management team, they, process the information and look at it. Does this meet standard? Then they begin to write their own suggestions or improvements on whatever they received. So you need to understand the niche of where you work to see what kind of uh, work ethics or what kind of approach they actually have there. Because there are times that, of course, like I always tell engineers, that you yourself, you're a product. So you won't let's say, a company that you work for begin to now downplay your product in that. When let's say you work for a company and then you maybe left. When you're trying to pitch to another company, the works that you are pitching to them are things you did for the previous company. And if it's not up to standard, it drops your rating. So while you're working for a company, you also want to ensure that all that you do is actually standard. So, and that's the reason why you have to be very sensitive to know which strategy, is involved. Like I will make an example that when you work with Google, they have like a dedicated team that thinks through their product. That's the only thing they do. They just think through the product to see that it's excellent. So by the time they are done thinking through it, they cascade it down to the engineers or the designers. That time you have almost little to no contribution, because there is a dedicated team for that. But when you work for a startup that ideas fly around, you want to ensure that you probe the product and send in your suggestions, so that you don't just it won't just be one size fits all. Okay. All right. So I've been writing software since 2017, and one of the things Okay, so I think there was a startup we built like 4 years ago that we we eventually hit a rock bottom. And one of the things that we've learned is sometimes what sometimes optics is not actually sometimes what you see or what you are projecting might not actually mean what is expected. For example, there was a certain time in that same business, what we did was good for optics. It tells a very beautiful story, but we're not making money from that business. It tells a beautiful story. It's very beautiful. It's good, but we were not making money. We were getting all the social media recognition, engagement, and all, but we were not making money. So sometimes what you are projecting, you need to really critically look at it. And I say that to say, I've had my fingers burnt over the years building products, especially managing teams, building products. There are times that the way you think of something is not the way eventually uh, will turn out to be. And that leads me to talking about product evolution, where what you design, that's why we version products, because sometimes what you design or what you design might not be the way you design it, might not be how the users are using it. The way you design might not be how the users are using it. And then you start getting feedbacks, and those feedbacks begin to change the product itself from even the original design. So you need to also, pay attention to this, in that your product will go through evolution. In that sometimes when you're even comparing, let's say the last or the final version to the initial, almost won't believe what you are seeing. It will be totally different, you know, from from some resource who were talking about, you can do your research on how YouTube started. The When YouTube started, it didn't start as a video. They didn't really quite think of it that it would be the YouTube that we have today. You see, so when you're building products, you need to also be very conscious of this. Please, at this time, I need to also confirm if we're still following.
Positive.
All right. So I'll just talk briefly about what we do. So at Onford, we leverage tech in last mile delivery for LPG distribution across Nigeria and Africa. So we have IoT hardware bots that is custom built. We built it. It's proprietary. It's proprietary to us. It's proprietary to us. Built in our hardware lab in Nigeria here. And what it does, very amazing product. What it does is able to track your gas usage, and it transmits it to the cloud. And then, of course, we're able to map it to the user. And with this, we're able to give statistics on our users, that they're able to tell their gas level at that's real time, and they're able to know how much they actually even spend on gas purchase, because we also have built an operating system for the delivery, in that we take away the bottleneck of your payments, having to deliver, having to get someone to come deliver gas to you. We've taken away all those bottlenecks, in that uh, what we do is we you never have to run out of gas. So we just come and do a bottle swap. So once your gas level gets to a certain threshold, there is a order broadcast that is being created. And because we also have hubs across Lagos, hubs of officials, in that it broadcasts to the closest hub to you, and they just come and do a bottle swap for you. So, on a nutshell, that basically is what we do. But amazing product that we built. Anytime I talk about what we've built, I can't help but to be very proud, because we built an interesting operating system, both the hardware and the software. We did quite a lot on that. All right, then, of course, we are also in partnership with Swordbridge. for internship. So we are looking at where. Because of carpets, I told them to hold on. Okay, yeah, please tell them to run.
Newton, it seems we lost you there. We can't hear you now. Can anyone hear Newton? Is it just me? Dayo, Chris, Lara,
Can
can you
anyone
hear
still
me?
hear me? I think there's a
Okay,
call
okay,
Yes,
okay.
coming
sir.
from.
I can
I
hear
can hear
you.
you now. We lost you
All
at
right.
some point,
So
but we can hear you now. Yeah, Newton, are you there? Hello, Newton, are you there?
We can't hear Mr. Milton again. Can you hear me, Mr. Dams?
Yeah, I can hear you. Newton, we seems to have lost you. If your mic is muted, you need to mute your mic. Newton, your mic is muted.
Okay, all right, guys. While we are waiting for Mr. Milton to get back to us, hope we have been enjoying ourselves. If you have been learning something, give a thumbs up in the comment section, in the chat box. Let's see. Let's see those of you that have been listening. Mr. Dams, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I can.
Okay, it
Okay,
seems
I
Mr.
think
Milton left.
yeah, I think his network is kind of poor. We lost him now. Um, well, I mean, interesting, insight he has given personally. Um, and I'm glad, I'm glad he's
All right.
proud of
Can you still
what
hear
he's
me?
put up. Okay,
Hi,
yeah, yeah,
guys.
it's back. We can hear
Yeah.
you now. We can hear you now. Welcome back, sir.
All right.
Welcome back, Milton. No, before we
All
lost
right.
you, I was
So
just telling
yeah.
Omolara
So
about you and your work, right? Especially the products that you're building and how you being proud of it, right? So I can safely say what they are doing is, really, really making impact, and that's because I've also worked there, and from my time there, they are really making impact in the energy space, especially in respect to clean energy, right? And he talked about something which sort of caught my attention. So sometimes he tells his teammates and his members, if you sometimes you're working fast, you can work in slow. And sometimes when you're working slow, it means you're working fast. I don't know, Milton, can you probably emphasize more on that? What exactly do you mean when you tell members that kind of statement? What are you driving at? When you see that
all
statement,
right.
like when you're
All
working
right.
fast, you're working
All right.
slow.
So
What does that mean in
all right.
particular?
So for example, let me state maybe like a practical one. So there was a time where shipping one feature. So I have two engineers working on it. One engineer is fast, the other engineer is slow. The fast engineer, his ideology is because what he is working on uh, also is dependent, or what or other works are dependent on what he's working on. For example, the mobile engineer will not be able to proceed to do anything unless there's an endpoint. So what he did was he just wrote the endpoints, but those endpoints are not communicating to the database. That was fast. The mobile engineer was able to quickly knock off his task. In fact, he said, "Yeah, we are done in 2 hours. We are done." Interesting, right? But the other guy was even still writing pseudocode, and everyone was wondering, "Are you an old school guy? Why are you writing pseudocode?" He was still writing pseudocode, you know, to see how it will work. And by the time
Mm.
we now, because as engineers, you will say, "Well, I'll come back to it. Trust me, just do it." because you might never come back to it. And that is at least what happened. Because every day has its own challenges. He never went back to all the things he wrote. So by the time we were trying to connect the dots were not connecting. And the guy who happens to be slow now said, well, after some days, my own is ready. Can we use mine? We had to now plug into it because the one that was quick, we couldn't use it. And sometimes this one is even because they're but there's another one where we even have someone working quickly and wrote all of the stuff and then deployed it and it was fine. But as the numbers begin to increase, we begin to notice errors in the calculation.
Oh,
But when it was
wow, wow, wow.
the first few weeks was accurate, was perfect, was looking good. But as data begin to accumulate, you begin to see offset, you begin to see errors in them. And the other guy who took time, to write his logic, in fact, he was testing. He was saying, where is this? He said, I've done it, but I'm still testing it. Like, what are you testing for 4 days?
Mm,
What are you testing? And then we had to use that guy's own, and it was perfect for the first 7 days.
I get that.
Beautiful. In fact, we almost told this other guy to stop because there are other tasks we need to share amongst the team. Thank God we didn't tell him to stop. So by the time we begin to notice the error, the guy was like, give me time, let me check it. He will check it and push again. There's the error. We told him we couldn't wait for you. When I called the other guy, he said, oh, yeah, I'm done with my own logic. It works, actually. We
So
plugged in his own logic.
essentially,
We plugged his own logic.
longer time.
Okay, yeah.
Essentially, the guy who took longer time to come up with his own code, the code lasted longer when
It
the
lasted
data
longer.
increased.
In fact,
But the guy who finished
we
his code
eventually
in a
used that
short
one and
time,
discard the other one.
the one who finished in a short amount of time, the code couldn't last when the user base increased.
Exactly.
That
Exactly.
makes sense. Sometimes fast becomes slow, slow becomes fast. I get that.
Yes.
I get that.
Okay, so
Okay.
I have a question, Mr.
Okay.
Milton.
Okay.
All right. Tell me.
So are you saying that okay, I've worked for a startup at some point, and we wanted to build an app, and our guy will come today and say, this is what I want to see in this in the okay, I wanted to rebrand the website kind of, and our guy will come up and say, this is what I want to see, and everybody starts working, and the guy will come tomorrow and say, no, this is not what I want to see, and they have to change everything again. Because you said something like working for startup are demanding, whereas well established companies tend to already know what they want. So in a situation
Exactly.
like this, so I had the engineers complaining like, she will come today and say this, tomorrow she will come and say that. What do you want us to do? Next tomorrow she's coming because the truth is she's also a tech person. So it's like as ideas are popping into her head, she's, okay, we can do it like this. She's not a novice. She knows what she's doing, but in putting it together now, trying to create something, it was it was a disaster, sincerely. And at the end of the day, before I left, the thing was not yet done. Now my own job was to get people to test the website, like test these platforms they are trying to create, is it working well? And we had 10 million and 10 errors. So what could be done?
Okay. So first, apologies to us who are founders because I'm also like that. Apologies from all of us. So, but nonetheless,
I can understand that. Apologies accepted.
because the idea is to 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 the developers or to the engineers, it is a product. To the founder, it is a business. Do you understand that? So the founder is looking at it from business perspective. You are looking at it from a product perspective. Like, this is a product. I want to build a product. While this person is trying to build a business. So there will always be feedbacks. And those feedbacks and careful thinking through will always prompt a change. But what I will always say, there is a balance. And the balance is you, that you are the person building that product. You know that product more than even the person coming to tell you to make changes, because you are the one who built it. You know what you've built. And I would like anytime I talk to engineers, that's when we're having technical core engineering sessions, I always let them know that don't build when you are building. split your logics. Don't build it compact into one, because it will be harder to change. Just break it into logics. Break your logics down. So by the time I say, oh, this one is no longer, change this one, you just know what to move from one place. You know what to now disconnect and connect. Because I also am an engineer. I love to write codes, and I still write codes.
Hmm.
So that's how I
Hmm.
build. Because when there
Thank
is,
you very much.
I think ahead of the person. Like, there are times that there's a lot of nice to have features that I've built in our infrastructure now that has not even been that has not even been that has not even been used. And that's the reason why I say sometimes slow is fast, right? When I was building those things, it took my time. It almost even took my life. It took my time. But they were just gonna say, hey, we want this feature. I'll just tell them, all right, give me 4 days. But that feature I have built, it's not going to take me 4 days. I will just go there, uncomment the code, or if it's a function that has not been pointed to an endpoint, I just point it to an endpoint and tell them it's ready. But that feature, I built it maybe months ago. I think ahead to see what are the things that this thing would normally would be there. And that's why I said you need to, know how to switch in between when to be someone who interprets the design or someone that actually probe and contribute to the design. So
Thank you very much, Mr. Milton.
that's the best way we can handle that, because there
Can
will
I ask another
always be a
question?
moving. Yeah,
Mr.
yeah, yeah.
Ra, before you ask another question, thank you very much. You will ask your question. Just note it down, please. Note it down for Mr. Milton. I'd like to introduce Mr. Joshua. Mr. Joshua just joined us. Joshua, are you here with us? That's our third speaker. Joshua Olukoya, are you here with us? Okay, I think he's having some. I don't know if he's having something to share about. Joshua, if
Can
you can
anyone
hear
still
me.
hear me?
Yeah, Milton, I can hear you. I'm just trying to confirm if the third speaker is available. Joshua, are you here with us? I think he's talking, but I can't really. Okay, I think he's talking now. I think his mic is unmuted now. Joshua, can you hear us? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay, yes, positive.
Oh,
Welcome, Joshua.
all right.
Welcome, Joshua.
Yeah, good morning.
Right. I trust you've been listening to Milton. I will go
Yeah,
for CTO co-founder Umport Energy. So we'll get you on board shortly. But before we bring in Mr. Joshua, Milton, just one more question before. Oh, Milton is still there. Milton has left already. Okay. Milton has left already. Okay, probably when Milton comes, I'll ask his question. Okay, or let me ask Dayo. Let me ask Dayo this question. Um, Dayo, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Because it
Yeah, I'm still
looks
with you,
as
Dams.
okay, Milton,
It's
yeah,
just the
welcome back.
network save.
So there's a question on the chat. I think this is for Milton. But before Milton, I've got the question in the chat. Dayo, there is something Milton said based on Lara's question. And I don't know. It sounds it might be contradictory, and it might not be contradictory. When you were giving your speech, you said um, you cited the examples of a project that came to you, and people were giving questionnaires to ask questions from 1,000 lawyers, right? Now, this was to get their pain points, their requirement, problem statement, or the like, and then they can build, a solution to solve that um, problem, that requirement. Whereas now, and I know I asked you a question about, is it possible to get an accurate requirement? Right? Is it possible to get an accurate requirement? Now, based on the last question and Milton's response, if I'm not mistaken, I think Milton could respond that way because he is also an engineer who is actively building. So he could think ahead. But for an engineer who is not a business owner or who does not really knows the business in and out, if you go by your own approach by giving, let's say I'm a freelancer, right? I'm giving my clients requirements or stuff to fill to get their pain point. And in my mind, that is what I want to work on. Now, how can I do what Milton is doing by, let's say, building the way he says, like thinking ahead of time, building product or building features? when the same developer or the same product owner or the same person will come and change requirement for me. I don't know if you know what I'm saying. Is it for the developer or the designer to now, quote and unquote, be proactive and think ahead of time to say, okay, I want to implement these features, or this will take me 4 days or 3 days. Do you get when there are constant changes with respect to the product requirement, which initially I have done my own work, to gather the requirements, to gather the problem statement, and I am working, and midway you come around, you change everything, or you change 50% of it simply because you claim you're the product owner. Do you get my question?
Yes, yes, Damler, I get your question.
All right. And this was
Yeah,
based of your experience when you talked about getting 1,000 user requirement. Imagine doing all the kind of work and only for you to realize that in the midway there is a problem or the stuff. That is, I mean, that can be frustrating if you ask me.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so um, the thing is this, right? When it comes to building a product, a software, a software product, right? There are a lot of dynamics that will happen, in between when you start building, versus when you finish, right? First of all, right, you could be building for a client, for instance, now, and the client's demands might change, right? Some of these changes sometimes are inevitable, right? You could be building for some certain users, and the user needs can change. I mean, at the end of the day, you're dealing with human beings, and human beings are, we have emotions, right? Sometimes we can be, human beings are not so easy to predict. That's the truth. So sometimes some of these, changes in, maybe project or product structure, they can be inevitable sometimes. In as much as they can be inevitable, there are ways to, let me say, minimize it. I won't say completely eliminate it, right? Because I mean, I've worked on quite a number of projects, and to be honest, I'm not sure I've seen any project where there were not changes in the middle, right? So the way to minimize it is to, um, of course, you have
Mm,
to have, I'll say prototype. Have a prototype before you start developing, right? So for instance, if you are building a website for users, right? I always like to have a UI UX design, like a Figma design first, before I start, actually developing the website, before I start any front end work, right? Because when you have a prototype, a prototype is like a representation of the real thing, not the real thing, but a kind of representation of the real app. When you have a prototype, right, you share the prototype with the, maybe there's a business thing, you're working with, within a company. There's the company have, they have like a business department. You share the prototype with the business department. They've given a go ahead, oh, we like it. You share the prototype with maybe the clients, they given a go ahead, we like it. The product person has seen it, maybe the CEO has seen it, the CTO has seen it, the developers have seen it, everybody is in sync. That kind of situation, since everybody has seen a prototype, everybody has agreed upon it. In fact, in some cases, some people even sign a document that this prototype is the final. Sometimes, it can be like that sometimes, depending on the kind of company. They might sign an agreement, they call it, I think they call it product sign off. So once there's a prototype, a working prototype, before you start development, it helps to minimize changes in between. But
okay.
situations,
Okay.
yeah, situations where there's no prototype, right? There's bound to be a lot of back and forth. Oh, changes, 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 changes,
Okay.
changes.
So thank you very much, Dayo. If I get you well, what you are saying in essence is, while there is no 100% chance that we will have a smooth sail,
Yeah,
getting a prototype, have a UI UX person, right, or stuff, and getting that prototype to be approved by, let's say, the board of directors or the senior staff of the business or the business owner, minimizes the chances, reduces the chances of was now corrections or changes. Is that what you're saying in
Yeah.
essence?
Yes, it minimizes it, not 100%, eliminating it, but it definitely reduces, those chances of, back
Okay.
and forth. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's just because, considering, just imagine I am a junior developer and an intern, you know, I mean, what Meeting said is very, very inspiring and very, very wonderful. But that can only work for, let's say, maybe a senior developer, a senior engineer, or someone who understands the product very, very well. You can build ahead of time, think ahead and do certain things. But someone who is just coming in, who don't really know the product much, or who don't really know, what is, I mean, he's still trying to find his feet, establish his feet, right, in that space. And you're just changing stuff. That can be really, really frustrating, if you ask me personally, right? But I think, just like you mentioned, the prototype via the UI UX porting and having everyone on board, agree to that prototype, you minimize the chances of corrections or changes. However, um, I think it might take a while before you now get to the level of Newton and see you're building ahead of being proactive and building features or doing stuff. I mean, if you can think, okay, what is, and there's another thing that again, if you're building a product feature and it happens that the business owner does not like that feature, you just wasted your efforts. Do you get what I'm saying? I mean, Newton, imagine you building the feature you said you built, or maybe you spend, let's say, a couple of days or hours, and eventually your boss now tells you, well, you just wasted your time with this. If you don't need this now, well, it's not necessary. I mean, you feel bad if I'm not mistaken. You will feel
Oh,
bad.
okay, yes, I get that. So, but okay, let me be a little practical. So there was a time, right, when we're building what we have, and we added, just a moment. So we adding customers in tiers. So you have tiers for customers, and then there
Okay.
was a call to scrap it, more like scrap it off. We will never ever put customers in tiers. In fact, we are not done with that feature. It was just part of the things we discussed. And we engineers, because we know it's a startup, we quickly went to work and we started building it. But the next morning, they're like, we wouldn't need this feature again, scrap it. We're like, we're about rounding up. Like, no, we wouldn't need it, scrap it, right? And when everyone left it, I eventually went ahead and built it. Lo and behold, 6 months down the line, we came to the drawing board again, like, we gotta put our customers in tiers because we have different type of customers. Ah, the engineer's like, we are almost done with these things. You say we should just this is the new thing. Let's go and do it. Then I told the engineers, like, well, we have it because I eventually built it. And there is another
Mm.
one which, uh, I'm just being practical now. There's another one which is, uh, yes, for us to be able to change customers' tiers from our dashboard rather than. So we have two ways of changing, or three. Let me say three because we've done it now. So three now. You can either assign a customer to a tier when you are creating that customer, or our machine learning algorithm through the customer's usage move the customer from one tier to another one. So and that
Mm.
was what. So we now added it on the admin dashboard that you can be able to change the customer settings. Like, I will never need this kind of thing now. Waste of engineering time. Remove it. We don't need it. And it was removed. In fact, it was never worked on. Moments later, they're like, oh, we need to really intercept. We need to really, sometimes change those things. We need to change it at the discretion of the admin. Maybe because some customers, maybe because they had some issue, and because they are good customer, but they had some issue, they couldn't run for like 2 weeks.
Mhm.
And now because our algorithm have moved them down, down, down to the tier, and we want to really move them back. And everyone was looking like, we said to remove it. In fact, we said never to build it. That it will cause problem for the system. It will make admin. Yeah, maybe they have some members of their family who are in the business. They will now go and change. They brought all sort of stuff to say that's what should. And eventually we had to go back to begin to build it. And we engineers who are here knows that when they say put this thing here, sometimes it's not just the way they say like put it here. It might mean you have to begin to reorganize, re-architect your database to account for just that thing that they say put here. It might mean you have to begin to change how you have structured the database. You need to now go and be changing some fundamental things. So the statement might be easy, make admin able to change, but it might not be as easy as that. So that's why it is, of course, we know it's risky, because why should you waste engineering time on something that will never ever be used? As I say, it's risky. And of course, I could do that because I am also part of the stakeholders and the management of that business at the
Wow.
time.
Wow.
So, but
Thank you.
yeah, but
I'm
also,
glad. I'm glad what you
I'm
just
just
said
trying to
now.
make a point, right? Let me
Okay.
make
Okay.
my submission,
Okay.
right? So, there was a time where I was not part of management in another company. And like I
Mm-hmm.
said, how I built was I built in bit. I didn't connect. I didn't write all of my. They are not all connected. I wrote them in bits. In that my create user, I'm writing them functions by functions by functions. This one is
Okay.
checking for valid name. Checking. This one is checking for valid email. I wrote it differently so that I can reuse it. Not only reuse it, I can connect however I want. So when they say no, 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 we don't want admin to be the one to confirm users again. We want the users to get an email and confirm by themselves. That way, I'm not going to be doing any re-engineering. I'm just removing something somewhere and connecting it to another place. I don't know if that's clear.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. And I'm
Yeah.
glad what you just said now, especially this example, because the examples you were giving, I think you were leveraging the fact that you were a management staff, and you could now do this, do that, and even if you didn't work well or stuff, you could still you still be fine, right? But not many people will are management staff. That's one. Not many people are probably senior engineers that would say, okay, I mean, the first example you cited, right, whereby a requirement was given, and initially it was like, oh, we're not doing this again, we're not doing this again. But you went ahead to build that feature. And 6 months down the line, who would have thought that 6 months down the line, this same requirement could be brought up again, right? Probably you just what's the word now? You just probably went to say, okay, let me just do it, to maybe test myself. Or you just felt, okay, it's a nice feature to just have and keep, right? But I tell you, the average engineer, the average developer might not think like this, right? And probably, like I said again, you are leveraging your management position, to do those things. And the new example you cited now, when you were not a management team, you were probably just an engineer in the company, you were building in bits. And I think that is what I think probably upcoming engineers or developers or designers should do. You can just build in bits. There are certain things you can build and keep, which can be used later. Reusable components, reusable features can be applied in other projects. Thank you very much. So there are questions that have been asked here, which we would attend to them, but not now. Let's give the floor to Mr. Joshua. Mr. Joshua Olukoya. Joshua Olukoya, hope you are still with us. Thank you very much, Oladayo and Milton. So Joshua, please confirm you're still with us.
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. So Joshua will be coming in he's also a software engineer, but he will be bringing more of AI ML because he's also working in that domain. So Joshua is working as a software AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning software engineer at Kona Labs at Morgan State University. So you have the floor, Joshua. Please, if you have any other questions, feel free to ask on the chat. During the Q&A session, we will attend to them. Our speakers will attend to them. So Joshua, you have the floor. You can just introduce yourself further if you want to. Tell us what you do. Then you have the floor.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not sure if you can see me. Yeah.
Not yet. Your video is not live yet. I think I saw you initially, but by the way, our speakers, if possible, if you can unmute your video, let us see you. Our students, audience would like to see you and know you. Apparently, I'm having issues with my video. That's why I can't even unmute my video. I don't know. I think my webcam is having an issue. But Dayo, if you can unmute yourself, Lara, if you can unmute yourself, that would be appreciated. Your videos, um, so they can get to see who are these wonderful speakers. Okay, Subai, thank you. Yeah, Subai,
You
thank
can
you very
see
much.
Mr. Joshua with a wonderful background. It's looking like AI background.
AI background. AI background.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
um,
Oh, he's an AI person, so that's not surprising.
yeah. Good morning. My apologies. I joined late. I don't know if the audience can also see me because
Yeah, if you can see Mr. Joshua, just type in C on the chat.
okay.
You can type in I see or yes.
All right. All right. So, um, good morning again. Once again, I
Okay,
would.
see, yeah, yes, so they can see you.
Okay. All right. So I think I don't know if I can share my slide. Is there any way I can
Yes,
share?
please. Yes, please. Yeah, you can. You can.
All right. Mhm. Okay. Yeah. Can you see my slides? Yeah. Um,
It's coming up. Yeah, it's yeah, yep,
yeah.
yep, yep.
Okay. All right. Okay. So my name is Joshua Olukoya. Um, I'm a software engineer at Kona Labs, United States of Baltimore, Maryland, and I'm excited to join you guys. So, like the title of the webinar is Tech and Design Unlocked: Insights from Industry Leaders, and I will be sharing my experience, my challenges, and some of the wins I've had in this AI space. Um, so I would share just a brief history of my journey in the tech space. So I started out as a software engineer for Forerunner Global Services back in 2019, professionally, and you know I've climbed the ladder in software engineering um, back back in 2019, and became a lead software engineer as at 2024 when I left Forerunner Global Services. While I was working with Forerunner Global Services, I also joined Fondle. Fondle is a fintech startup in Lagos, and I worked for about 2 years with Fondle, and after which I joined Kono Labs 2024. And it's been an amazing journey. Yeah, so I wouldn't want to waste much of my time. So, but the key areas I would be touching on is the current landscape of what are we currently experiencing during this AI era, and I will also be looking at some practical approaches that you can take um, in trying to explore the AI space, and also I would also share some of the skills, the tools, and the mindset you need to have in order to be able to navigate some of the challenges that may come up when trying to explore this AI space also. Yeah, so I know each and every one of us has interacted with probably an AI tool, whether it's ChatGPT, which is a very popular um, platform. Um, some of us might have also interacted with Gemini, also like a direct competitor to ChatGPT. Um, yeah, you've experienced AI one way or the other, and now we've been able to see how AI, some companies have been able to adopt
AI, because right now it's as if you're not using AI, I mean you're left out, you're behind. You understand? And so there are major companies trying to push or trying to integrate AI into their their application one way or the other, whether it's a feature, whether it's a full blown um, AI application. Everybody's trying to get AI into their applications. And now recently we can see the rise of agentic AI. I don't know if you've heard about it, but it's quite a trend right now. And we can see agents that can plan, that can adapt, and that can act on its own independently. Um, so while I was working with Kuna Labs, we've built a lot of products. And Kuna means cognitive and neurodiversity AI. Um, so we've been able to build some amazing and interesting applications. And one of the applications we had to build was a WCAG reporting tool. It's kind of like an agentic AI, and that can go to a website, inspect the DOM element, try to figure out where is the nav bar, where is the buttons, where is the you know um where's the footer, where is the you know all these things, and being able to plan, trying to navigate the same way a user would navigate the application. And that's just simple workflow of how an agentic AI behaves. And we can see some trends in agentic AI. So, and one thing that is usually, you know, similar is you can see that an agentic AI can plan on its own, can act on its own, can adapt on its own, you know. And I have some, design patterns that, you know, this agentic AI, builds on. So we have the planner. The planner is like the decider of okay, maybe you need to get to so location. These are the steps required to get to the location. Then there is the executor that carries out the plan. You know, maybe it's making API calls. In order to be able to facilitate these steps very easily. Then there is the critic or the verifier, which that would check whether the result makes sense. It has to stay relevant to whether it's the prompt, whether it's the task. Um, it has to stay relevant to the context of the problem. Um, yeah, so with the rising of AI, currently we can see that it also needs a lot of compute. You know, this AI we're seeing requires a lot of compute, to be able to process fast. When you put in a prompt to ChatGPT, in the next 5 seconds, you see the text already. You can see the output of like or the results. And just this little prompts, requires like heavy compute. And I don't know if you know of this company, Nvidia. Nvidia is one of the leading companies, championing this market. And they've been able to, move AI from, being able to just do this. And now AI is able to do like a lot of things within a very short time. And yeah, so we've been able to see companies that are really specialized in, building chips, GPUs, and cloud scaling. You know, and I mean, if you listen to like the news, or if you're following like the tech space, you can see that OpenAI is actually they're trying to build a data center for AI itself. I think it's over $500 billion, and there is the need, because there is the need for these, because they projected by, maybe say, let's say 20 next in 2030, there would be a lot of things they want to use AI for, and with the current compute size and all of these things, it might not be able to get that done. But with the right compute and infrastructure, anything is possible. You understand? So anything is possible. Yeah. So with the current state of AI, we're seeing, um, we can see that people are being displaced from jobs. I like to think from the perspective that if you're not upskilling, it's a case of you're going to be left out. So you should understand that tech itself, it's an evolving era. You understand? So you have to upskill at every point. You have to upskill at every point, and it's only those that can adapt, that can upskill very fast, that would actually take good use of this change we're seeing. You understand? And you can see new rules coming up. We can see a prompt engineer coming up. We can see human in the loop. We can see an AI engineer coming up. We can see a data quality manager. You can see an automation architect, and so more. Um, right now, we can see that machines are even taking the repetitive tasks, those low level tasks that if you um, robots can take care of, and humans can now move up the value chain, into roles that that would create, or that would require, sorry, more creativity, more oversight, more thinking, and a lot of strategy. Yeah, so some of the AI integration strategies I'll also be touching on. I'll be touching on the best practices. I'll be talking on the integration patterns, and I'll also be talking on like the key things to consider. So if you're someone that has taken interest in looking into the AI space, what is it exactly, and how can you plug in, or how can you integrate um, AI into your feature, or sorry, a feature of your application. Um, I mean, it's something that you would want to note down. Um, One of them is ML ops. I don't know if you've heard of the term ML operations, which is also machine learning operations. Um, you know, when we try to build AI into products, or we try to merge AI into probably a feature, or whether it's just a part of the application, we don't just integrate and just leave it. You always One thing you always want to do is you always want to monitor, you know just like when you're building a software, you know where you have the CI/CD, integration, deployment. AI needs a continuous feedback. You have to monitor the what you've integrated. So, like, some of the things you're going to be tracking probably would be the data versions, like the model versions, even sometimes the prompt versions. um, for those that are familiar with prompt engineering, um, you would have to monitor the latency. You have to monitor whether it's the cost, because it takes a lot of money, trying to integrate AI into products. Is that maybe you're being charged per call, I mean, and it's really quite expensive, on a large scale. Um, Also, you also have to monitor drifts. Sometimes model accuracy, it degrades over time because AI feeds on data primarily, and you know this real world changes over time. So it needs to keep updating, the data it's being fed with, and that's even the basic reason why a model accuracy would degrade over time. Um, so I will give you an instance. Let's say you're working on a fraud detection a model. You know, fraudsters would always try to improve their tactics, and also um, you also have to feed the model with these tactics, in order to prevent your fraud detection model from being bypassed. You understand? So that's one way you would think about it. um we have the governance, we have the ethics by design, we have the cross function team. Also, I'd like to touch on this, but like, because of time. Integration patterns, yeah. So I like to think of this as, if you're a developer very well, and then you like to play with stuff well, you would know, you would have come across documentations. Probably is a when you're trying to trying to use an API of an external API. Yeah. So, I mean, if you're trying to integrate with AI, you must have seen possibly like a documentation. Maybe if it's from the OpenAI's documentation page, you see where you can, you know, pass in prompts, get prompts, plug in your API key, and just being able to relate with their own model, or so this is one integration way where you can work with their models. Yeah. Another integration pattern is um, event driven automation and microservices. um, if you've also worked with event driven applications, where an event would trigger, let's say, probably a function or something, or triggers a separate service, sorry. You can also relate that to AI integration, where different services, or smaller microservices can act on AI outputs instead. So, um, one good thing about microservice is you can isolate risks. If you're someone who thinks you know system design, um, you've worked around system design a lot. You understand that sometimes microservice is like one of the best um, architecture you can use in order to isolate risk. Whether it's from API failure, to a lot of things. You understand, but using a monolith architecture would break a lot of things. When trying to use or integrate AI into your system. Another thing I would also like to touch on is things to consider when when you're integrating AI, and you can see that we have data quality and governance, security and compliance. We have legacy system compatibility. We have change management strategy, and we also have the ROI framework. So looking at the data quality and governance, um, the AI fits on data, you know, and it's what a model is trained on, and it can, you can, tell you about. And you need to be able to create pipelines that will be able to validate data, clean data, and govern data in a very structured way. And and these are like the basic framework, for rolling out probably an AI product here in the US. Um, we've seen a lot of trends here where you know someone can there's something called prompt injection, and someone would try to inject the model with a lot of malicious content, and you know making the model perform in a very abnormal way, you know and this would also in turn lead to model being able to do some malicious actions, you know and if whether it's making the model crawl a particular web page it's not meant to crawl, and retrieve information from that, or whether it's making the model just spits out a lot of malicious or vulnerable codes. um we've seen that. So things you need to consider is you should be able to um you know you create pipelines that would be able to validate the data you work on, you be able to clean the data you work on, and also a structure that you'll be able to use to govern data. And I don't know if any of you have used Databricks. I'm a huge fan of Databricks, and the company is really doing amazing well. They've been able to push some of these features into the application, whereby you can do all of this. Um, you can do all of this on the platform itself, and they've taken all of this into consideration. Some of the also all other things I'll touch on is legacy compatibility. Um, so you have like old code bases, uh, whether it's whether the code base is built with Fortran, or it's built with PHP, or is built with what other old language is it? We also have some really old languages where most enterprises would still try to use, and now trying to integrate AI around these legacy systems. um, you would have to find a very efficient way of mapping these things to work, in order not to break um, existing features on the application, you know and that's one thing you need to consider when trying to integrate AI into your existing system. Also, change management. um you should be able to create pipeline that would enable you measure adoption rates, um, and also iterate. Change management is really important as just as the tech itself. You understand? And so you need to be able to create this pipeline whereby you can measure these things and also iterate. You understand? So the ROI framework is you should also be able to measure success, whether it's how much time it has saved, whether it's reduced the errors, whether it's affected the revenue. You should be able to you should have that framework whereby you're able to measure some of this important part of the process itself. So I would also be talking on some of the industries that we've seen lead in this AI integration process. And one company I really love to talk about is Waymo. Waymo. Waymo is an industry where they have these self-driving cars, which is currently live. I mean, it's live, and um, I saw one recently, and I was really amazed about the brain behind it. And Waymo, their logic is split into three. They have the sense, the solve, and the go. Um, you know, being able to integrate AI, um, into these cars, in terms of making it, be able to like self-plan, um, perceive, and also, create this safe systems you get around itself. And one thing that's really intriguing about this Waymo is its ability to, learn, you know. So let's say a Waymo car, let's say a Waymo car, it's involved in probably an accident somehow. Um, so what happens is, um, the car feeds the car learns from what just happened, you know, and it feeds other cars, other Waymo cars, let me put it like that, other Waymo cars, and other cars are also able to learn from what has just happened, and that's like the power of AI, in order not to allow itself like repeat the that same mistake. And that's one good thing about AI, being able to create this safety system by learning from previous pitfalls. You understand? So another company I'd also like to talk about is Bank of America. Bank of America is a fee is a financial company here in the US, and they've also been able to integrate AI into some of their processes. And I was reading a paper, and I was seeing that like 19% of their the infrastructure, that it's the part of the software they have or something that if patented is AI, machine learning. And they're also trying to push the bounds, trying to integrate AI into their systems, whether it's from chatbots, to fraud detection, and it's amazing to see how these companies have been able to, successfully, put AI at the core of how they build, and how they design. Another company also is Visa. I don't know if you've heard of Visa. Also, they fall under the healthcare category. And one also good thing about AI that Visa is also doing is they've been able to, you know, trying to develop drugs faster. That's one good thing AI is really doing right now. AI has been able to, speed up drug development, and in turn, this has actually, sped up the clinical trials. Um, um, yeah. So now, I also like to talk about Amazon. Amazon plays in the space of retail and commerce, and they're really amazing company because they've also been able to, put AI at the core of every product they build. I don't know if you watch this their event they have. I think it's every year. It's called Reinvent AWS Reinvent. I would really suggest you should watch it because there's really a lot to learn from you know these guys. When they think, they think with skill in mind. When they build, the building for millions of users. And one amazing thing is, I was listening to one of their VPs in security, and he was talking about how he was able to, how their team have been able to, navigate, imagine having a billion calls maybe in 5 seconds, you know, and they've been able to, really, efficiently cater for this, that it has not even broken their systems. They've been able to, factor for a lot of things, that everything still works as it should. Yeah, so Amazon is also doing amazingly well, in terms of the commerce, the things they sell. They try to integrate AI, whether it's you know products they recommend to customers, whether it's the chatbots, being able to ask questions relating to the product itself. Um, Also, based on recommendations, they've also been able to, do a lot of things in this AI space. And sorry, you can see that a lot of companies are really moving fast as not to be left out. You understand? So, um, yeah. So the next one I would like to talk about is a machine learning implementation. Machine learning implementation. Okay, so I would really like to speed through this. Sorry. So yeah, what are the challenges we have in AI integration? We have the data quality and bias. Um, Having to deal with bias in data sets is really something you don't want to do at the early stage, because it can lead to, unfair outcomes. You know, whether it's having a lot of a lot of your data being fed with maybe information about white people, um, or and less of black people. It's really prone to having bias in sorry, it's really prone to having unfair outcomes, when you're trying to, get results or get answers, from the model itself. And we have legacy integrations, we have computing intensity and cost, we have privacy and data security, we have regulatory compliance, we have the societal impact and concerns. These are some of the challenges we have in AI integration. So earlier in my slides, I also mentioned the future trends and some of the opportunities you can, um, grab. And one of them is the agentic AI, which is what we're seeing currently, where systems can act independently on its own. Whether it's like a full workflow, whether it's just a mini task. You can see a lot of companies also, a lot of new startups, coming up with agentic AI. Maybe you have to use, maybe let's say, 5 different tools to get to a result. Now we can see this agentic AI being able to, navigate these 5 different platforms and, come up with a very structured and very reliable result. Edge computing, when you're trying to run models, they actually run on hardwares. And this is also one um, opportunity and one trend has been coming up, Nvidia particularly. And this company has been really, championing like the market space for these hardwares that this models run on. And we've also heard about the multimodal um, models, um, you know, these models that's capable of, ingesting text, whether it's text, image, whether it's video, whether it's audio, you know, um, and these systems, they can handle this different type of inputs, and also they can also produce, this kind of different inputs, whether it's text, image, video, audio also. Um, yeah, so these are like some of the major trends and opportunities you should also look into if it's something you're interested in. Um, yeah, so my final take on preparing for success is, you need to get a skill, roadmap, whether it's becoming an ML engineer, an AI engineer, whether it's a prompt engineer, there are roadmaps. And if it's an ML engineer or AI engineer, there are fundamentals you need to like build on. You can't just move to the top. You have to like be very good with the fundamentals. So for ML engineering or AI engineering, um, we have the statistics, we have probability, we have data analysis. Um, these are like the fundamentals, for moving into like the AI space. Because AI itself, if you look at the underlying principles and all of this, it's based off of different mathematical calculations. So you really need to have, you know being able to like have this interest in maths, you know, statistics particularly. You should also, for ML engineering, you should be able to build models, train models, evaluate, optimize, deploy models. Some tools you can use, if you've heard of SageMaker, AWS SageMaker. Um, yeah, that's one good tool you can use in doing all of this. Um, there are also platforms you can leverage on. Yeah, we have also the ML Flow. We have the AWS SageMaker, and we have also data pipeline tools. We have Kafka, we have Airflow, and also for like to monitor your models, we have the Prometheus, we have the Grafana. Um, Also, once you've been able to just try to do something in this AI space, whether it's something basic, maybe as a chatbot. One thing you should always want to do is you should always try to share what you've done with people, whether it's someone in line with what you're doing. You have to like put your product out there, put your what you've done personally. Put it out there. People would see it, and if they like it, I mean, sure, they would always want to reach out to to work with you, and you know it's a very good way of growing yourself and learning or creating credibility. And also one also important thing is always try to contribute to like open source projects. That's one good place to start. Whether it's improving an existing library, um, whether it's trying to fine tune probably a model, to do something that's probably never been done or something new, and that's an interesting place to also start, preparing for success. And I think that's all for me. And you can always reach out to me. I'm Joshua Lukoya, and this is my LinkedIn. If you want to connect. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very, very much. Wow, that was quite insightful, and that was also robust. That was also robust. Thank you very much, Joshua. A lot of things are, we're in the AI age now, right? And it's not just quote and unquote sufficient to say I'm a software developer. You need to know how to, use AI, know what is trending, and know how to use it to, you know, improve your own work, your efficiency, right? Um, and trust me, what you've discussed, are things that are in the industry as at now, so for today, right? Based on what the industry requires. Um, do you mind sharing your slides with also I can give the participant, the audience, Mr. Dayo,
Okay.
also I think I might like to ask you for your presentation so I can share with them. They can also go through it as well. So a quick question on my end, Mr. Joshua, right? Just in 2 minutes so we can um, respond in 2 minutes. Now, those who are studying software development, full stack or front end, and they don't have, let's say, data science background or machine learning background, and they're just starting a software development journey, and we know already that this is the world of AI. How what would be what would how would you advise them, to enter into this space? Considering they are newbies in the software engineering world, and they need to. I'm never saying want. They need to. There's a need for them to integrate AI into their usage and stuff. How would you advise them to go about this in 2 minutes?
Okay. Quick one. So as a software engineer, you want to transition into like the AI space. One thing I would advise you to do is, I wouldn't say you should start learning every AI resource you want to learn. But what I would advise you to do is, whether it's what you're working on, whether it's a backend engineer, whether it's a front end engineer, you can start integrating AI. There are APIs you can play with, and that can you can really integrate, or play with these models. You can start from there and see how try to understand how models work. And if it's something you're interested, I mean, why not? Then you can start picking up resources for AI itself, trying to understand like the fundamentals. But right now, I wouldn't say you should, just leave what you're doing, pick up and, AI resources and just start learning. But I would want you to like, try to integrate AI into your products, whether it's a side gig, you can just, start playing with documentations a lot, APIs, you can just play with simple products and see if it's something that, ignites you, like try to interest you, you understand? So that's my
Okay.
advice.
Play. I like the word you use. Play with simple products and models, right? So you play around with them, and
Mm,
you see how it goes.
yeah,
And I think that's a good one as well. Then something I think I picked as well, which during your speech was talking about documenting and sharing your stories, even if they're not wins. I
yeah,
think you mentioned that, and I
yeah,
think that's something important for junior engineers, junior designers, or people who are transitioning into the AI space, right? It's important you document and share your stories. That way, people would see what you're doing. They would see your mistakes. They would see your growth. So it's something that we really need to inculcate, documenting and sharing your stories, even if it's not something big, even if
yeah.
it is win,
If
share
it's
it.
something
Let us
small,
know
just share it.
what
Yes,
you've done. Just like you mentioned, right? If it's working on an open source project or a model, just play around with it. Let us know your experience, right?
yeah,
You might not achieve what you intended to achieve, like maybe what you set out to do. But the fact that you made an attempt and you're able to come up with something, you learned something, share
yes.
that experience. That is very, very important. That's very, very important. Okay, now Mr. Milton seems to have left us. I think he just chatted me. Let me see. Hopefully he joins us back. I know he has some other things to do. Hopefully he joins us back. Mr. Dayo, are you with us? So we'll be entering our question and answer session now. There are some questions that we asked, and I think someone asked if I have a question for you, Mr. Joshua. Dayo, are you with us? Let me know if Dayo is still with us. Um,
Yes, I'm still here.
okay, thank you very much, Dayo. So we'll be needing your slides. Time will not permit us to take the remaining one. So I'll start with you, Joshua. Someone's asking a question on the chat. Can you see it on the chat? He said, please, is it possible for Mr. Joshua to show us a typical product prototype?
Mm, okay, okay, yeah. Um, some of
Product
the
prototype.
some of the
Do you have
products.
something you want to show, or probably on the internet or on your system?
Okay.
Or
Yeah.
then while Mr. Joshua is attending to that, I think it's another question again. I think this was for Dario and Milton. Um, okay, Dario. So this is a question. I think this is for you and Milton. While Joshua is still attempting to work on the product prototype. So Dayo, yeah, someone's asking here, Emmanuel. This is Emmanuel Inge. I hope I don't murder your name. Emmanuel, let me just call you Emmanuel. Your surname is a bit technical for me. Said, please, how long does it take for an average person to complete his work? I guess probably maybe your portfolio or your project or stuff. I think that's when you guys were talking about building project and user requirement, documenting all those things. Said how long does it take for an average person to complete his work? So that you can help us with that. Then I would have loved Milton to attend to this one, but he's not around. So Dayo, maybe you just take these two questions. Um, Dayo, the second question says, what are early signs? So what are early signs of a successful product? Dayo, did you get that? That's from Zigma. Zigma is saying,
Yeah.
what are the early signs of a successful product? How would you know that this product or this project is going to be successful? Then the second one, how long does it take for an average person? So I'm using average person probably being a junior developer, I'm just starting my journey, that kind of thing, to complete his work. Especially, looking at we talked about changes that might come in by the business owner and stuff like that. So those are two questions for you. Then Mr. Joshua to show us a typical prototype, product prototype, probably in the AI space.
Okay. You want me to share my screen right now?
Okay, so who wants to go first? Joshua, will you go first? Are you ready?
Okay. Yeah.
Then you're still brainstorming on that. Okay, so Joshua, you can proceed here.
Okay. Um, yeah. Can you see my screen? Yeah.
Um, it's coming up. Yeah, it's coming up now. Okay, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. What is
Yes.
this?
So this is called the Uncanny app. The Uncanny app is we at the lab we tried studying how people react to the different um robotic faces we have. And some people here in the US, funny enough, they have this negative experience. You know, when you see image that's really not human, but it's kind of like similar. Some people have this negative effect. So we created a platform from scratch, trying to understand people and play with these images and you know we have different configurations. So one interesting thing about this is I built this from scratch, to production. And one funny thing about this product that I learned was, I tried fine tuning a model, a vision model where you can play with images, but it wasn't giving me, the accuracy was really not there, for image, and also it was taking a lot of time to um generate an image, and that's kind of really piss off users. And that pushes me back to knowing your fundamentals really well. And there was a simple library we played with that really solved this issue, and that's the sharp package. If you've worked with a sharp package, you can actually manipulate images itself. And with that, you can see different configurations. um so whether it's the eyes closed, you can see in less about like in like 2 seconds you're getting response. I know when I was when I integrated AI into to this product, it would take about 2 minutes, trying to get just one image
Mm, mm,
back. And as an engineer, you should be able to there are a lot of trade-offs, and if time is something that's really important for you, you might not want to, with the way AI is currently, you might not want to AI might not be the first option for you. You can explore other options before trying to use AI as the last resort. And so with this, we're able to get some of those manipulations like really well. And you can't see any of the any croppings or anything. Everything blends so well, and it's just one image. That's the funny thing. It's just one image. And when dealing with the AI model, you could have the ears, distorted. You could have the chin not really same thing. You could have the lips, changed in a way. And that's really one interesting thing about AI. And so we've been able to solve this, just without using AI itself, but understanding like the fundamentals of how some of these things work, and being able to apply them in these areas. Yeah, so I think this is like one application I can show you, because like the rest of them I really can't show you those ones right now.
I
But
think
yeah,
I think
we
this is good enough.
learn from this. Yeah.
I think this is
So
good enough. This is, I mean, it's a prototype now, so it is not, you're not getting the full product or thereabout. It's just a
yeah.
prototype. Wow, this is good. Then I think something you guys you need to learn. Mr. Jupa mentioned something. He said sometimes AI should not be your first option, right? Sometimes it might not be the solution you need. You have to probably just look around, and you can see a better solution to the problem you're trying to solve. So sometimes AI is like, it is there's an option, but it's not always the first option, right? So you need to understand the problem you're trying to solve, and then know what solution best work for it. Thank
Yeah.
you very much, Joshua. Thank
All
you
right.
very much, Joshua. All right, Dayo, are you ready for your questions? Should I
Yeah,
take them again, or you?
yeah, please. What was the first question again?
Okay, so the first question that was I think what's his name again? Emmanuel. It's like Emmanuel was asking how long does it take an average person, to build his work, or work average person. Then let me get the second question. Just give me a minute. Is it was it Sigma? What's that guy's name again? The second person, Sigma. Yeah, Sigma was asking, what are the early signs of a successful product? How would you know that this product is going to be a success or a failure? What are the signs?
Okay. Okay. So to answer the first one, how long will it take to complete for an average person to complete their work? Okay. So I would say, to be able to estimate a timeline, right? I mean, it's something that comes, with experience, right?
Mm,
Yeah. Let me say it this way. I mean, if I wanted to learn to cook a new, meal recipe, right? If I was doing it, the first time, I might not be able to tell you per se how long it will take me to cook it, right? But if it's something I've been doing, for some time, maybe some months, some years, because of the experience I've had, I can give you a time. Oh, this recipe will be done in 20 minutes, right? So it's something that comes with experience, right? I mean, I
mm,
would say,
mm,
just, if you've built, let's say, one, two, three, software products, over time, right? When someone gives you, work to do, because you already have prior experience, right? You can, state a time. Oh, okay, this thing I'll finish it in 2 weeks. Oh, I'll finish it in
mm.
3 days. So yeah, so I'll say it's something that comes with experience. If
Experience,
you
yeah.
are, yeah, if you're just starting out, it might be a bit difficult to come up with accurate timeline. I mean, of course, you are still trying to
Okay.
find your way around and all that. Yeah.
So, what advice would you give Emmanuel? Let's say a client approaches him, and
Yeah.
is being asked, okay, maybe do a website for me or do an app or stuff. And the client asked him, Emmanuel, okay, how long will it take you to build this product? What will you advise him to give as a response in that situation?
Okay. First of all, I would say don't be in a hurry to give an answer, right? Because if there was one mistake I know I made, I mean, while I just started was because I wanted to impress, the client or maybe the boss, right? I'll give them, a quick answer. Oh, I'll finish this thing in 2 days, right? You can tell them. I mean, yeah, you can tell them, give me some time, I'll get back to you, right? I
Okay.
mean, our advice, don't answer straight on, right? Tell them I'll get back to you. Give them I'll get back to you, before the end of the day. And then, you can also try and do, some research on the task they are going to give you, right? Do your research. I mean, thank God now we have ChatGPT, which can give you very precise answers. You can, put in, reach out to ChatGPT, put in your prompt. Oh, I'm still a beginner in, this particular programming language. On average, how long do you think it takes beginners to finish, this kind of task? So ChatGPT can give you at least an overview, of how long, it takes. So you can also leverage on that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. So I think, Emmanuel, don't give a feedback immediately. Let the person know. I'll get back. You get back to them, and you can do your research. Ask probably a senior developer, a senior engineer, or use AI to get an estimate. All right. The second question: what are the early signs of a successful product? So we don't waste our time. How do we know that this product or this project is going to be successful? That's
Okay.
from
So
Zig.
yeah, I mean, that's a very, I like the question. First of all, we're not God, and we're not the oracle.
Yeah, you get to
The
say
oracle.
that. You're not good.
Yeah, so the truth is,
Okay.
you can't know. Nobody can know. That's just the truth. You
Hmm.
cannot tell. I mean, even great products that we have today, they did not even know it would be successful. I mean,
Hmm.
let me use the example of Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg. I mean, in as much as many of these people, they had a vision. I mean, they had a goal. They did not know it would blow up the way it did, right? So the truth is, you can't know. I mean, there were products, or let me say companies, that were looking promising. Now we don't even know of we don't even know about we don't know their names anymore, right? Back in the day, there used to be uh what's the name? There was this bank then. Okay, there used to be an Oceanic Bank. I'm not sure. Some
Okay.
people might not even know of that name today, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there used to be I think Bank PHB,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Bank PHB. I mean, some people today might not even know those names, right? I mean, I'm sure once upon a time they would have thought, oh, we're on the right path, but I mean, fast forward today, they are nowhere
Hmm.
to be found,
Hmm.
right? So the truth is that you really cannot know, right? That's why they call it, creating a project is a risk, really, right? That's why I
Hmm.
mean, very few people take that risk. I mean, it costs time, it costs money, it costs, I mean, efforts and all that. So it's a risk. You can't really know how it will turn out, right?
Wow. Thank you very much, Emmanuel. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Yeah, Emmanuel. Thank you. If you have any other questions, you can just drop them. Thank you very much, Dayo. I think what you said is very, very true. It's a risk, right? And we don't really know ahead of time. And one thing I would also probably just add to that, I learned this from someone, you know, someone said something. They said, if you want to fail fast. When it comes to project and kind of thing, like building a product and stuff. So if you see that probably things are not going well at all, just probably just wrap it up and stuff. So essentially, if you want to fail fast, so if you see with all effort being put, you're trying this, you're trying that, and it's looking as if nothing is working, and it's just going on, just probably just close it. But some other people would argue, that don't give up. You get that now? Don't give up. So let me just ask you this. I think there's another question from Subai. Subai. So before I give you Subai's question, Joshua, you may want to also respond to this as well. Um, um, when I want to talk about failing fast, right? And some people tell you don't give up. Like, I mean, if the data is good, keep it up. You will probably some people might fail and they can get at it again. I don't know if you know what I'm saying. Like, it's possible something does not work the first time. Take for instance, McDonald's, right? You know how many rejections he got before eventually made it. You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
talking about okay, failing fast and not giving up. Where do we draw the line that okay, I think at this point though, we are giving up, like this nothing is going to work, or let's still push on, using McDonald's or other examples like that whereby people had different failures, before they now eventually succeeded. So Joshua, you might want to help us with that. Then Daya would respond to Subai's question.
Okay. Can you hear me? All right.
Yes, yes, we can.
Okay. Okay. So my own stance, in this new age, you can actually, fail fast, iterate, pick up new things and know, oh, okay, maybe this doesn't work. You understand? So but when it comes to trying to know what will work, and what will not work, um I just feel it depends on your own passion itself. Because if you are someone that you have this vision for this, and you're trying to build and it's not working, but you strongly believe in your vision that, oh, but I think this thing would work. I mean, you should one thing I would advise is, I know there are people that are also probably having are also in that path as you're taking. You understand? Whether it's something in healthcare, maybe it's something in commerce, if it's something in fintech itself. We've had people also, had visions in building something in fintech. You understand? Look, reach out to mentors, people that have also taken these steps. And you know when you reach out to them, try to see, ask questions, try to relate and see, oh, okay, this is your approach currently, will it work? You understand? Try to seek the opinion of people, when you've tried everything. And um, you're seeing that everything doesn't work. You understand? You can now, I don't know, maybe try to, if there's another approach you can take to getting it done. But I mean, trying the same thing over and over and over again, leading to the same result. I don't think that would work. But try to see how you can retrace your steps back, you know, and seeing whether you can use another approach, in getting that vision, um,
Hmm.
uh, actualized. That's like the best. So
Thank
when,
you very much.
okay,
So essentially, you're saying changing the approach, like reaching out to people, seeking for advice, and
yeah,
essentially, maybe if you see this is not working, retrace your step, then change the approach which you are addressing that problem or that feature or that product. Thank you
yes,
very much.
yes,
Okay, the final question we'll take for this webinar session is coming from Subai Waliulai. So Subai is asking, what stage can you get to? What stage can you get to go? Let me take it again. What stage can you get to go? Know if you are good enough to receive projects. Okay, I think what is asking here is when do you know you are good enough, to get receive project from people like, let's say, clients or stuff like that. By the way, these are junior people. Let's establish that these are junior engineers and developers and designers. So he's just asking, what stage? How do I? Where do I? How what stage? I don't know how you answer that question now, but how do I know I am good enough to receive project from people? Instead, I don't just go and disappoint, quote and unquote, right? So I'd like to hear from Joshua in 1 minute, then Dario in 1 minute, then I will give my final questions, then we'll wrap up.
okay. So for me, I've actually, related with a lot of junior devs. And one thing that's really common is, they like to try a lot of things. I mean, the year that, oh, Python is, I mean, a lot of money. This guy is just a Python dev now. He's probably got this gig, and they're paying him this $5,000 per month. And you get some crazy stories. And your heart's like, I'm learning PHP. I might really, your mind starts, becomes shaky. You understand?
Mhm.
So what I would say is, believe in what you know. You can research, a lot of things and all of that. Pick what you want to learn. Be very familiar with the basics. That's my own stance. Be very good with the basics. Build projects, share them. Be very comfortable enough to say, oh, I can build this on my own. You understand? From there, you can, if it's a website, you can develop for probably a friend, for yourself. whether it's your portfolio, whether it's an application itself, you can just build something and show people, that's the only way people can, be confident in your abilities and say, oh, okay, I think I can refer you to, so person. And most of the gigs, most developers get is basically through referrals, basically from what you've done in the past. So
Mm-hmm.
if there's nothing for you to show, how would people, refer you to other people that this guy is credible enough to, you know. I think that's my answer.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Joshua. So build and show what you've done. All right, Dayo. Um, finally, can you just respond to this question? Then I will just ask you guys one more question. Then we'll wrap up. So Subai is asking, how do I know I am good enough to receive projects? Let me start earning this money too. I've been learning. Now I want to start working and getting the money. How do I know I'm good enough?
Okay. Let me see. Okay, so in my opinion, will I give a timeline to this? Because I don't think I want to give a specific timeline, because I've seen people start from anywhere really. I've seen someone who, I mean, 3 months into learning, they've started working, they started taking on projects. I've seen someone 6 months into learning, some people 2 years. So I don't want to give a specific timeline,
Mm,
right? I would say it depends on I mean, how it depends on your level of confidence, right? I mean, there are some people that, I mean, even while they are not so prepared, they are just able to summon this confidence. Okay, let me try it. So I mean, it's up to, I would say it depends on your, person's willingness to actually try stuff, right? So how willing are you to try it? If you have been learning for 3 months and you just have that willingness, okay, let me try something. I mean, definitely I would say you are strong enough to pick on projects, right?
mm.
I've seen people pick on projects just 2 weeks, right? So
2 weeks. Interesting.
yeah, yeah. Although with supervision, I mean, they of course not, they were
Okay, of
not
course.
working independently. Yeah,
Yeah,
there was
yeah.
a supervision there. Yeah, so I mean, pretty much it's up to the person really.
All right. Thank you very much. So I think what I can deduce, from the responses, Subai, I hope you're learning, is you need to build, take note of that, build what you're learning, practice them, share with people, get feedback, and those feedbacks will now give you confidence. I hope you're getting it now, Subai. So you need to build. So it's not just learn. You consume. It's okay to learn, but when you learn in class or in a boot camp or whatever, you need to now put them into practice. Share your success stories, just like Mr. Joshua said. Then reach out to people, get feedbacks, right? Then the reports they give you, the feedback they give you, will tell you, okay, I mean, you're growing in confidence level, and that's where you can actually okay, I can take this project, let me take this project, let me accept this project. And I would also add to that, um ensure you have someone who can mentor you or who can guide you, because sometimes, if not, you are likely to make mistakes. Most likely at this stage of yours, you are very, very likely to make mistakes, right? But if you have someone who can guide you, because they have made those mistakes, you are likely not to make them again. You understand? So don't give a timeline, just like Dayo said. Don't tell, okay, in 3 months time, in 4 months time. I think I always tell you guys, for those who are in the analytics track, you don't finish a 3 month boot camp and you just call yourself an intermediate level analyst, or you finish a 3 month or 4 month program and you just call yourself an intermediate level engineer. No, it doesn't just work that way, right? Because there are people who have been doing this thing for years, and not just years, they've been building products, right? Someone said something which I think is true. If you build a successful project or product, let's say 3 cycles, 3 to 4 cycles, and you are actively involved in those projects or those products, I think you can safely call yourself intermediate level engineer or analyst. Do you get what I'm saying? I don't know if you agree with me, Joshua or Dayo. Do you get what I'm saying? If you have, let's say, 4 projects or 4 products, 3 to 4, and let's say small to medium or depending on the skill, and you're actively involved in them, end to end, you can actually say you wouldn't just call it a junior level. What's it called? Because a typical project will probably last, let's say, 3 months to 6 months, depending on the magnitude. Do you get what I'm saying? So if you are involved in that project and you are there from start to finish, in the little capacities you are contributing, maybe on the back end, on the front end, the design part, or even AI, even doing multiple contributions, depending, some startups, you do front end, you do back end, you do other things. If you can do that and you have 3 to 4 cycles of project or product, you can safely say, oh, I don't think I'm junior level again. Because you already know how this thing works. You know how this thing works. It might not be that the industry is different. Maybe coming from a fintech or an healthcare or an agricultural industry, but you understand the life cycle of a typical software product. There might be some little differences. So I think essentially you need to share your works, put them into practice, then build confidence based on the feedbacks you get. So I hope you got that. All right. So final question for our speakers. What is one piece of advice you would give to someone starting in tech today? So I'll start with Joshua, then Mr. Dyer would wrap up for us. What is one piece of advice you would give? Let's say maybe to your younger self or to someone who is just starting today. That would help them in 2025 and going forward. I mean, 2025 and future.
Oh, all right. So one advice I'll leave you guys with is, you know, in this 2025, I mean, it's AI or nothing, you understand? So you have to put yourself in that space where, you are still relevant. That's one thing I'll leave you guys with. Whether it's front end you're doing, whether it's back end you're doing, whether it's, there are tools that, AI tools that can do all of these things better, but you have to put yourself in positions where, you are still relevant regardless. So that's one thing. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Put yourself in that space where you are still relevant. Put yourself. So it takes effort. Put yourself. Dio, what about you? One advice you would give those guys or your younger self in 2025 today?
Yeah, so I think I'll say the same thing, at least in that line. Just keep learning, right? Because one thing about this tech space is that it's a space that evolves quickly, right? I remember when I just started learning, um, at least I started off with PHP, JavaScript and the likes. I mean, the PHP of that time is not even the same. I mean, there's been a lot of updates, and all the JavaScript at that time. I mean, as it's not even the same JavaScript today. The React of that time is not the same React now. I mean, a lot of things have changed. So it's important to keep learning and be open to new technologies, right? I mean, I see a lot of people bashing, especially when new technologies come in. A lot of people bash it and all that. I mean, be open to at least understanding how they work and how you can use it, right? Just it makes you it puts you in a position where you can easily adapt, right? Like me, I'm not afraid of AI taking my job because I know I always adapt, right? I'm always
Oh,
open to
I love that.
yeah.
I love that. I love that. I
So I
love that.
always adapt. It's not something that keeps me awake at night, right? So just keep learning. That's just one advice I would give.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Keep learning, guys. There you have it. Keep learning. Put yourself out there, right? Just like Dayo said, the PHP of let's say 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago is not what you're writing now. Same thing with JavaScript. A lot of things come up. I mean, there was recently I came across a package in Python, ice cream, and I was like, what the heck is this? So a lot of things come out there, and you're like, what is this? So you need to just keep on learning, and I think that is the key. You need to keep on learning, right? Because new technologies, new things come out every day in the space of in this world, tech world. And just like Joshua mentioned, AI also, you need to really, upskill. I think, if I'm not mistaken, recently I saw on LinkedIn, I don't know if you guys also saw it. I think it's Salesforce. I think they said the CEO of Salesforce sacked over, like, is it 3,000 staff or thereabout? I don't know if it's Salesforce now. I have to confirm that, but I think it's Salesforce. And he said he needs people who can work with AI. He needs people who can, like, 3,000? Are you kidding me? You know. But then again, it's just the reality of things. It's the world we are now. So if you can't, what I do tell people is AI. There's certain jobs AI might not replace necessarily, but AI. Those who are good with AI would replace those who are not good with AI. Take it or leave it. So AI might not necessarily replace your job. There are certain jobs it can replace, but there's certain jobs it can't replace. That's just it. But those who are good with AI, because it makes them efficient, it makes them faster, it makes them smarter. So they will replace you if you can't use AI. So as junior devs, junior designers, people are aspiring to become full stack developers, front end engineers, back end engineers, or even AI engineers in the future, right? It's important you put yourself out there, keep on learning, and always reach out to people who would help you. Just like Joshua said, you can reach out to them on LinkedIn. Oladayo as well, Agbolade, you can reach out to him on LinkedIn, as well as Milton Arugofo. We are hoping that we can always bring you on board next time because we'll be having other webinar sessions and also workshop sessions in the future. I appreciate you very much, Joshua. Thank you very much, Oladayo. And Milton, who is not here, we also thank him as well. Miss Laura had she had a flat battery, so she couldn't continue the meeting with us. Thank you guys for your time. We appreciate you, and we hope that you get to put this into practice. The insight you've gotten from our speakers today, the knowledge you've gotten, we hope you put them into practice. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. We can also share with them. And we wishing you, a very, very successful career in this tech space. It's not very easy. That's just the truth. You've got to keep on working. You've got to keep on learning, and keep on evolving. All right. Mr. Dayo, Mr. Joshua, please kindly send in your slides so we can share with the audience later on.
Okay.
That would also help them. So, guys, thank you very much. It's been an insightful time with you guys. I personally have also learned, and we hope to do this more often. Thank you very much once again. Do have a wonderful weekend. Yeah, thank you very much.